Hello and welcome to my channel, In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and this is a bit of an ad hoc Vlogmas video going on here, okay? So, the thing is, my life is crazy. In December, as I'm sure many of you can relate, currently, my children are preparing to play in a basketball tournament and I am here waiting to go watch them. And so this is the moment I have. This is the moment I have to film this video. And I do not have time to edit it. So I'm just going to upload it as it is, whatever happens, to YouTube, okay? So this is where we are in life. This is the level of expectation, just kind of setting that up for you right now, okay? I'm in my car in the dark because this is the moment that I have, and we will seize this moment. So I said already, I'm not making any promises as far as schedule for Vlogmas or anything. I just do want to participate. I do want to get some fresh Christmas content out there for you guys. And just because it's fun to talk about Christmas stuff and Christmas books and everything, just kind of when I have a moment and when I have something worth saying, I will make a video and I will share it with you. Today, I want to share with you the book that I just finished reading yesterday or the day before, and also give you some additional recommendations along those lines. This book that I just read was called A Merry Christmas by Elizabeth Johns, and it was a Regency Christmas romance novella, and I just kind of happened upon it on Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to read it, it's on Kindle Unlimited. And I was struck by the cover. I thought the cover looked really pretty. And then I read the brief description and it sounded, like a fun Christmas historical romance novel. And then I read the reviews on Amazon and they were all very positive. And they all, mentioned that it was a sweet, clean romance. And I was like, hey, why not? We'll give it a try. So I picked it up and I read it the first few days of December, and I really enjoyed the writing. I do think I have read one other book by Elizabeth Johns, quite possibly, at some point, but I don't remember which one. She has quite a few series out there, so there are other books by her. I definitely will look for more of hers. I don't know if they're all along this line. I can't speak for any of them, but this particular one that I read, I really enjoyed. So, first of all, everybody has their different go-to genre that they love for just comfort reads or palate cleansers or just fun in-between reads. Regency romance is my go-to. I've read a lot of Regency romance over my life. Probably stems from my love of Jane Austen, because I love Jane Austen. And so I started reading a lot of Jane Austen retellings or whatever, and then branched out from there into various just Regency settings of novels. Most of them are romances. So that's kind of my go-to, and I love to read it. And I love a good shorter, I don't normally like novella length novels because I would rather go a little deeper. But when it comes to a quick read, I like them to be shorter. So and a lot of times the formulaic kind of stories, we know what's going to happen, right? We don't need to take 500 pages to get there, or even 300, 150, 200. It's good. So this one is pretty much in the sweet spot. It may be 20 pages too long, but it was 170 pages or something like that. So it was good, and it was clean, squeaky clean. I would let a teenage girl read this book. If I had teenage girls, I would, no problem. They could read this book. I mean, there were a couple of kisses at the end, but they were not really even described. Just, mentioned that they happened. And yeah, it was very squeaky clean. So highly recommend from those perspectives. But also, I really, really, really loved the writing style. The prose was just beautiful, and it was my favorite thing about this book. I am a sucker for elegant writing, for lyrical prose. Some people might call it purple prose. I don't care. I love it. Bring it on. Give me all those beautiful words. I love beautiful words. And this book was just rife with them, like overflowing with beautiful language. Some people might call it flowery. So if you use that negatively to speak of prose in some books, you may not like this one. But if you like books that really utilize the English language very well, like to its maximum capacity, and play with the words and create evocative scenes and mental images with the words, then you will like this one. Let me pull up my Kindle, and actually I will read to you a couple of examples so you can get an idea and see if that's something that you would like or not. So one moment, por favor. Okay, so this is from the opening, near the beginning of the book, and the hero of our story is coming home. He is a captain in the army. And it says, it had been 5 years since Joshua had been home for a family Christmas. 5 years in which he had learned how quickly a man's innocence could be traded for the smell of powder and the sight of blood. The boy who had left in new regimentals had returned a captain, older in countenance than in years, and carrying a silence in his thoughts that he could not yet name. As he approached the village, he halted his gelding to appreciate the storybook view. Thatched cottages in a row with their honeyed limestone, the smell of wood burning, and the smoke escaping the chimneys. The leaves were long gone, but it did not distract from the picturesque scene as frost glistened off the branches from the setting sun's last rays. He urged Brutus forward. It was quite cold, and the air took on the smell just before snow fell. Somehow he no longer belonged in the simple, innocent settings, tainted as he was by war and bloodshed. Yet he craved it. I'll skip ahead a little bit. As he turned into the gates of Witchwood Hall, he was welcomed by the tall evergreens lining the drive. Inhaling deeply, the deep juniper scent was one of the fragrances that always reminded him of home. When the house finally came into view, it was a welcoming sight, as candles brightened the windows. A groom came out to take his horse, and as Joshua stood at the front door, graced with a wreath of holly, he smiled, for he could hear his family within. He did not bother to knock, as he doubted it would be heard. A crowd of merrymakers was the best description he could offer as he looked into the drawing room, full of adults and children alive with talk and laughter. And now let me just read a little segment from the perspective of Mary, our female character. If a young lady were sensible, she would keep her thoughts in as good order as a basket of colored thread, every shade in its proper place, untangled. Mary had long suspected she was not that variety of young lady, for the moment she stepped away from Captain Fielding with her bravado so bright upon her tongue, "We shall see, Captain, we shall see," her thoughts flew up like startled starlings and refused to be coaxed down again. However, the hall made a picture to soothe any irritation. The Yule log, which the gentleman had brought in with much masculine bustle and grunting, burned at last as if it had found its home in the large hearth. Evergreen garlands were looped along the mantels, ivy adorned every angle, and white-berried mistletoe was wreathed with scarlet ribbon and hung. The air smelt of burning oak and the sort of spice which promised plum pudding in some near future. So that's just a glimpse into the writing style. The story itself is, so let's see, what tropes would we have? How would we describe this? So there's like the girl in question and the guy have known each other for a very long time. Their families are close friends. They in this book, they are celebrating Christmas together at a house party, and they've known each other their whole lives. But the guy has been away at war with the army, and so he comes back, and he's older and wiser. And Mary, the heroine, she also has grown, and she's a full-grown woman now. And someone is interested in her, a local I don't know, he's a baron or something, I don't know. He is interested in her and has been kind of sort of courting her. And so she, however, has always had like a bit of a crush on the captain. And so there's that kind of storyline. And he hasn't realized that, you know, he loves this girl that he knew all this time. Like, he doesn't understand what his feelings are, but it kind of grows on him over the course. And then the suitor that is pursuing her has ulterior motives, and so that comes to light over the course of the novel, and then that creates some drama, and there's, you know, a situation and some tension, and anyway, so there's a little bit of adventure there, just a little bit, not a lot, and it's very sweet, and it's very wholesome, and I enjoyed it. It was a wonderful Christmas read. So I highly recommend that one if that sounds like something you would enjoy. But I also wanted to mention a few other options along those lines of Regency Christmas novels that you would like. So now, most of these I have not read recently, but of all of the ones that I've read over the years, which I've read quite a few, these have stuck out as being more memorable and interesting to me. And as far as I can recall, they're all very clean and, yeah, worth reading if you like Regency novels and if you like Christmas romances. So here we go. First of all, Joy to the World, which is a collection of 3 novellas, actually. So you get 3 in 1 here for this one, okay? And Carolyn Miller, Amanda Barratt, and Erica Vetsch are the authors. And of all of the Christmas novella collections that are out there, which there are like approximately 1,053,000,053, this one has stuck out to me as one of the more memorable ones that I really enjoyed, and the stories were really good. In particular, I remember that Amanda Barratt's was very good. Really loved her story. They have a little bit more depth to them than your average little novella, and they're set in the Regency era, and they are just really enjoyable reads. In fact, that might be one that I would reread at some point. Another one is Snowbound at Hatfield by Maria Grace, and that one, Maria Grace is the same author of the Christmas in Regency era book that is on our list to read for the 250th birthday celebration of Jane Austen. So same author. She writes a lot of Regency stuff. So this is one of her books set in the Regency era at Christmas time. Snowbound at Hatfield. Hatfield, of course, is where Emma of Jane Austen's Emma lives. So this book involves characters from Emma and Persuasion and maybe one other Jane Austen novel. So it's just like it's not a retelling of any of those. It's just like later on after all of them kind of thing. And so that's fun if you like to read books with those characters in them and get a little bit more imagination of what their life would be like, you know, after they're all married and all that stuff. So that's that one. And then we have The Weaver's Daughter by Sarah E. Ladd, which is not specifically set at Christmas time, but it's definitely set in the winter time. This one is a little bit heavier. It deals with the whole issue of like the Luddite rebellion or whatever you want to call it that was happening in England at that time. It definitely has like North and South vibes, and by Elizabeth Gaskell. And currently I am reading Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, which is dealing with the same era and the same issues like with mill owners and all of that stuff. And so it's all of those kind of dramatic moments are in these stories with conflict between mill owners and artisans, like the people who did the actual weaving and that kind of stuff back at that time in England. That one is told from the perspective, of course, of the weavers, or the weaver's daughter. And I don't remember if there's actually specifically Christmas scenes, but it's set in winter, so it's a good time of year to read that. Finally, the last one I want to mention is An Ivy Hill Christmas, which is a novella that is related to the Ivy Hill series by Julie Klassen. And that was actually my favorite book out of the whole series, Ivy Hill Christmas. It's like the trope is like I don't know what you call it, but like the bad guy gone good. Like he was a rogue, but now he's a good guy. And, or he you know, he grows over the course of the story, and like there's a redemptive storyline for him. And then, you know, of course, he falls in love with the girl, gets the girl, etc., all that stuff. So I really enjoyed that one. That was my favorite one in this series. It can be read as a standalone. Like, it does have all the characters from this series, and but it's not focusing on them. And the characters that it's focusing on aren't really an integral part of the rest of the series, as I recall. So I think it can easily be read on its own. So that would be another Regency Christmas romance recommendation, and that one is Christian also. So I think The Weaver's Daughter also is, as is Joy to the World. Yeah, so Snowbound at Hatfield of these four is the only one that's not really, and the one by Elizabeth Johns isn't particularly Christian. I mean, it's not a Christian, but it's not a Christian fiction book, you know what I mean. Anyway, so that is my recommendation for 5 Christmas Regency novellas. In particular, the one that I most recently read, A Merry Christmas by Elizabeth Johns, which was just published this year, so that's a brand new one, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so you can find it there. And yeah, that's what I have for you today. So happy Christmas season, happy Vlogmas, enjoy all of the videos out there floating around in the Bookmas world, and I will see you next time. Bye.